Okay, got it. All right. So here I'm introducing you to Lee and Margi Kyle, and they will tell us about their journey once they were faced with an end-of-life situation. I'm going to turn it over to Margi and Lee, and we'll go from there.
Well, about 4 years ago, we were at a Christmas party, and the gal sitting next to me had her little baby. So I was playing with the baby, not paying attention to anything else that was going on. And all of a sudden, somebody screamed and said, "Call 911." And I looked up, and it was Lee. And one of our friends said, "I think he's having a stroke or a heart attack. I'm not sure." So that started our journey. But basically, it started on our first date when we were going out, and Lee said to me, "I had heart surgery when I was 17. I can give you 18 years, but I have a feeling that's all I have left. And if that's enough for you, we can continue." It started our planning journey of talking. And if I leave anybody with anything, the more you can discuss openly with your partner what you want and how you want to see your end of your life, the better. Lee, do you want to add anything to that?
I just feel that it's so necessary that both parties understand each other, but you have to bring it to light first. So many people ignore it or just don't want to get involved in it. And like I said, I've had friends that, one lady is a nurse, she's got 3 brothers. Their mother was dying and she suggested that mother should go into hospice. The boys, no, they were against that because they didn't understand what hospice was doing. So that's what Margi and I have been doing, is trying to understand what we can do to make each other okay. Because I'm dying, Margi's not. So what happens? We've got family that are exposed. We've got other friends that are exposed. We have multiple children because we're remarried that need to understand what the situation is. And we've identified that. Also, we've identified where we want to be buried, how we want to be, our procedures for it. We just haven't left anything out. And we'll, of course, include the lawyers for the wills because we've got a blended families. So that's where we stand. And this is what we're addressing every day. I'm not going anywhere other than to meet the big guy. And I'll guarantee you that there's a waiting list for me. So I'm looking forward to making it as easy on Margi and everyone else around it to understand what's going on.
And because you are so open, it has made it truly a journey that I wouldn't have missed, because I feel comfortable planning the ceremony, planning where we're going to be buried, the whole journey. And Lee has made it very clear he wants no pain. And he definitely wants to die with dignity. And that's when I had oh dear, I've got to have a really heavy talk with Lee. So I opened a bottle of wine and said, "We've got to talk." And I was organized and not emotional. And I think that's a good key if you can be. But if you fall down, don't beat yourself up. But I just said to Lee, "I don't know it all. I want to give you the best end of life that you deserve."
Yeah.
So we called hospice and had a long talk with my friend Jim Cooper. And he said, "I don't know whether this disease, it's so new, whether they'll take, I don't know." But he had a nurse out that afternoon that just made us feel so comfortable. We were not alone. We were on the right path together. Lee had 2 strokes, had major surgery, and then finally the doctors were arguing so much that the heart doctor said to me, "I won." And I'm going to do more tests. And that's when they found that he did have amyloidosis. And that's basically, Lee, you explain what it is because you've
Mhm.
studied it more than,
Well, amyloidosis is a disease that older people get that attacks the different systems in your body, the blood flows and the arteries, and it's just it'll attack your liver. It causes all kinds of things that I've been experiencing in this last year that I didn't know because I never had any problems. I've always been very active my whole life, athletic wise and in business. And I've just had to find out what amyloidosis was. And rather than get into a big dissertation about it, you can look it up and it's very interesting what it does to your system. It just takes over and it stops blood flow into the arteries and which causes some additional stroke possibilities. Causes pain, it causes, well, I won't get into the other stuff, but it causes all kinds of things that you're going to say, oh my God, I never had this before. So the medications that are available, there's nothing really, they don't, Pfizer has a drug that's costs $20,000 a month to have. Yeah, sure. And anyway, put me on a test on that thing and nothing changed in 4 months. And so as a matter of fact, it stopped the whole system for a while where I was feeling better because I was starting to walk. And then all of a sudden with the further diagnosis, the amyloidosis, that just attacked my system. I lost all my energy. I have absolutely nothing. I can hardly sit up in a chair. And, you know, you have to accept this as part of the overall, what amyloidosis does to your body. So I can't get into it technically, but it's easier to follow it up and just Google it,
Mhm, mhm.
amyloidosis. And
But there is no cure.
no.
yeah,
Okay.
so
it's just-
that's what it is, and it's incurable, and yes, but I want to die with dignity, okay? And my partner has made sure that that's going to happen, and so has hospice.
Yes.
They identified what the situation was and how they can provide support, both physically and mentally. And that's really a strong point to understand about hospice.
Mhm, mhm.
Well, and I think as a caregiver, I think it's very important that the caregivers realize you need to take some time for you too. Because you can't give back if you're exhausted. And I think the most wonderful thing Lee and I did last week was renew our wedding vows after 33 years. It was our 30th wedding anniversary. And we had all our hospice help around us and our family like you and our dear friends. And that was important too, because people need to know how Lee's feeling. They
Mhm.
need to know that they can freely talk to him. And
Being 83, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. So we combined the wedding vows and we combined the birthday into one meeting.
Yeah.
And it was heartwarming. I felt just heartwarming for myself and for Margie. So and everybody else that was there.
yeah,
Well,
I think it's a time when you really have to learn that this isn't a time to be angry.
No. It's time to learn and
but
understand.
did you go through any anger phase at the beginning
A
or?
little bit, but I realized very quickly that gratitude is your best medicine.
Mhm, mhm,
Okay, anger is not going to cure it,
mhm.
but a better attitude and adjusting your life so that it works for you and your partner. Like Lee doesn't usually typically get up till about 1:32. So if I have a lot of running around to do, I can do it in the morning and not feel guilty. And then I can be there when he gets up to help him and to make sure he's okay. But I just totally say I had no anger is probably the dumbest thing I could say because everybody has a little bit. But I just didn't feed on it.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
And we put that into more of a constructive, this is what I see as your end of life service. This is what I would like to do. And share with him what's going to happen, so that he's a part of it as well. And I think the more open you both can be with each other, the easier it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
absolutely. What are the frustration points from both your perspectives? You mentioned earlier that it's been like 4 years, but it's been a year and a half when Lee, when you really started to slow down, or so I'm just thinking as you got less and less energy, I'm just wondering how did, what were the frustrations from both your sides that you experienced, and how did you handle them?
But just not being able to do anything, even when I had the stroke, I could walk the stairs a little bit at a time. I could do a little bit of this. I could still drive my car. I could still go to the post office. I could go to the bank. I could go to the grocery store. I could go to the drugstore on my own. Margie has to do all of that now. I haven't been outdoors in 9 months. So you're almost totally handicapped. And with the way the situation is, I can fall anytime. I've had a couple of falls already. I've been lucky I haven't done any big major damage. But all of the other situations, I sit in the chair from the time I'm awake. And, it's just, I feel useless. But unfortunately, I'm not going to continue on doing that simply because I can't control that. So I have to put it in my brain that, hey, this is what it is. Margie has just been phenomenal. She takes care of 3 lives, her 2 and mine. So, she's just a trooper, but she understands because we talked about this from the start.
Yeah.
Period. And I played hockey until I was 80 years old. There's never any question about that. But all of a sudden, take it away. Everything's taken away from you.
Mhm.
And I used to say, now I understand how handicapped people feel, because I am as well.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Am as well, and that's where it stands. But
Mhm.
with the hospice is unbelievable. The help that they have is mentally, they're such strong supporters.
Yeah.
And they analyze and they monitor everything, and they just, it's not dying. It's helping you to ease the pain that you're in, period.
Right.
And to help the caregiver to understand what can be helped and cannot be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And your perspective, Margie, I'm sure there are times you get frustrated as, being a caregiver, and you can talk it through, but what are some of the tips that you have, or
Well, we both had a very active life.
Yeah.
And I still do, but in a very different way. It's like when you came, and some of Lee's family came to the renewal of vows, just going out for dinner. I hadn't been out for 4 years, literally.
Right.
And I miss that.
Yeah.
And so now what I do is I get my glass of wine at 5, and in my mind, I think, who haven't I talked to for a long time? And at least come in my office here and chat for a half hour, 45 minutes to somebody I haven't talked to for a while.
Great.
That just makes me feel more connected to the outside world. Because Lee's had his falls and whatever, his whole eating has changed too. So I'm making a lot of soups every day, but you've got to take time for you, and you've got to find that one thing that's going to make you happy. And if it's sitting down with a glass of wine, calling a friend, then do it.
Having a massage, going for a face.
That's right.
Whatever it is,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. And I'm trying to do that once a week.
Yeah. Self-care, what I hear you say. Self-care is extremely important, right? Yeah. All right. So Margie, what I hear you saying is self-care is really important. And if you're if you're in the role of a caregiver. Can you say a
Yeah.
little more about that?
Oh, yeah.
It is, and actually Lee knows that as well. And so he came out the other day with a check and said, go get a massage, go get a facial, go do whatever will feel good to you.
Yeah.
And that made him feel good. It made me feel good. So
Mm.
I can't say enough about communicating and letting your partner know, I'm a little frustrated right now. I'm
Right.
trying to help you, but it doesn't seem to be working. What am I not doing to help you?
Okay.
And, or Lee will say to me, I'm having a really bad day. I'm sorry, but I'm going to need a little extra attention.
Okay.
Okay, I know that, so that you can adjust how
Yeah.
you're feeling and what you have to do. So communication in every relationship is
Yeah.
key,
Yeah.
but especially at end of life.
Right.
And there should be nothing that you can't discuss comfortably. It's just choose your timing. I mean, obviously, if he's having a really bad day, I'm not going to bring something that's heavy up.
Mm.
I'm going to
Mhm.
wait till he's in a better frame of mind. But
So why do you, maybe I can ask you a question like a what if, why do you think so many people, when you talk about all of the benefits and all the positives of having talked about and planned, why do you think many people of our demographics, age group, are afraid of talking about it? Like you
well,
have a lot of friends, you're very, very, and I'm sure some of them probably view you as, wow, this is such a positive couple. Why do you think so many people don't approach it that way or can't approach it?
well, they don't want to accept that it's going to happen.
Okay.
And they're very uncomfortable talking to their partner about the end of their life. I mean, I think we feel that, or I have felt that some of my friends would feel more comfortable if I would just be sobbing and rolling on the floor. But that's not going to help Lee. And in the end, that's not going to help me. So this is the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't come naturally or easily.
Mm.
And part of what has helped me is I have a nonprofit called Little Smiles. We work through the nurses in the hospitals and home care. Anything those kids need to put a smile on their face, we provide. So I have been dealing with children who are sick, could be facing end of life, not always. And I've talked and had to talk to the parents. And you learn to be a good listener and sort of know when to approach what you feel they can handle. And Lee has always been very open and easy to talk to. So he's made it very easy to me and for me and for hospice to come and talk to him. He's very open. So
Lee, do you want to add to that or what you feel? We're talking about why is it that you feel people don't talk about it, and it's not a subject that we all should be, we all want to embrace it, but looking at what it's done for you by talking about it and listening to one another is such a positive benefit. I'm just wondering.
Well, what I get from that is that I care about Margie.
Uh-huh.
And it's most important that she is okay. Okay, because she could get herself into a depression or whatever else, and then you're worrying, and then your system breaks down, and then you got all kinds of complications that are coming in because you don't understand or you haven't addressed the situation, and that makes it so much more difficult. I think the best thing we did is, hey, we got to talk. We got to talk. First thing we did, we went to the lawyers, did our wills and all that stuff, and made everything compatible. We took a look at how our finances are going to be handled, where, have to understand where investments and things are, but that needs to be all addressed, and we've done that.
Well, and
So
then
feel complete.
we wrote a letter to our kids
Mhm.
and explained the will, explained what was going to happen. So that when the time comes, I don't have to do anything. The work has been done.
Mhm. Mhm.
Through sound body and mind, you know, as well as can be said.
Yeah, and that's when you want to do it. Absolutely. When we talk
Right.
to people, we want them to do it while they have sound mind
Yeah,
and can make decisions.
that's
Because
right.
late, it's too late. Like if you're not feeling well or you're on a lot of medication,
Right.
then those things can't, sometimes can't progress the way you want them to.
Unanswered questions, and you don't need that.
Yeah.
It's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I just feel that we have gone about it in a proper way. We've had some reinforcement in our thinking from the hospice folks and from other family members. And we're just comfortable with it now. And that's where we
So-
stand.
Yeah. So when we opened up our conversation or our dialogue, we talked about wanting a good death and being at ease with that situation. So what do we say to people out there that are going to hear this? What do you say to them that so that they can walk away or go away from this hearing your thoughts? What would you want them to think about doing? If you could wave the magic wand, people will do what they'll do, but
So maybe take some time to write down what you want to see for you at the
mhm,
end of your life.
mm.
So that you're very clear that this is what you want. I mean, Lee and I disagreed. I don't want to be cremated. He does.
Mhm, mhm,
So we found a place where we could get buried together
mhm,
and he could be cremated and I don't have to be.
mhm, mhm,
So we both felt comfortable about that. Because Lee is Catholic and I'm not. We decided maybe the funeral home was the best place to have the service,
mhm, mhm,
non-denominational.
mhm,
When we met Rick Phelps, the hospice minister, we absolutely loved him. Asked him to do our wedding vows again, and he will do a service for us because he knows us.
mhm, mhm,
And I'd ask a couple, just you go in one room and you go in the other and you write down what you want to see
mhm,
at the end of your day.
mhm.
Because when you feel comfortable with what you want, it's easier to talk to somebody about what they want.
So what you want, what I hear you saying is people should be discussing their wishes,
Yeah,
what they believe in, their values, their beliefs, and their
Yeah.
beliefs around burial, their
that's
beliefs
right.
around healthcare, their belief around interventions. If we talk about DNR or other interventions, that those are all the things that come into these discussions.
Lee, what would you add?
I think we've covered it very, very widely. And
Mhm,
like you said, you need to start with a checklist. Of how
mhm,
do you want and what do you
Yeah.
want?
mhm.
What have you not done?
That's right.
You know,
Yes.
what
What do
needs
you
to be
want and
addressed?
not want? Right.
And that's
Yeah.
when I said the only thing I see that we haven't done at this point is write a letter to all our children
Mhm.
to let them know what we want
Right. Right.
and
Yeah.
what's going to happen. Because the
Yeah.
last thing you want right before a funeral is to have a family argument.
Right.
You know,
And
what do you mean you're going to do this and bury him this way? No,
right.
that's the last thing you want.
So what you're saying is all of that can be avoided by having these discussions
Absolutely.
and putting it down in writing.
Yeah.
Understanding the situation, yes.
Right. And it's important. Anything,
Well,
go
it
ahead.
is, especially in a mixed marriage where
Yeah.
Lee has his own children, I have my own.
Right.
I want both sides of the kids to understand exactly what we're doing.
Right. Absolutely.
And they do.
Well,
Yeah.
that's important. Yeah. You can want them, but you know that you've had a discussion with them and
Yeah.
and they understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So going forward,
Enjoy each day.
Amen.
amen. Yeah, with gratitude.
Yes,
Thank you for
Gratitude.
doing this interview, Margie and Lee.
thank you.